Hello everyone, this is Shri Kante and today we are going to learn about the essential guide to critical thinking. Let's get started. Now, let me ask you something. If you were to think back to your early school years, what do you remember? Maybe you were like me, sitting in a room, choosing between subjects like geography or French, not because you loved them, but you had to pick something. And honestly, even I wasn't even interested in most of the topics that I chose. But back then, I didn't know what I even wanted, and I didn't have a reason to learn. Now, reflecting on my early education reveals how foundational experiences shaped my critical thinking skills and fostered a love for learning. And now, engaging discussions and thought provoking questions also encouraged me to explore ideas, ultimately nurturing my ability to analyze diverse perspectives. And also, critical thinking skills developed during formative years have proven essential for navigating complex challenges and making informed decisions throughout the life. Now, when we were young, we go to school mostly because we were told to, but the reason why learning that usually comes later. So, like when we learn to grow, reflect, and figure out who we are. Now, as we become more self aware, understanding our habits and emotions and values, we also start learning how to manage ourselves better. Now, this makes room for us to see the world around us more clearly, understand others, build relationships, and even influence those around us in positive ways. But here's the thing, if we want to grow in life, school, work, or anything in general, we need to learn how to think. Now, not just what to think, but also how to think. Now, that's where critical thinking comes into play. Now, understanding the purpose of education is essential for personal growth and lifelong learning. It shapes our goals and aspirations. Now, when we also establish a clear purpose, we become more motivated and engaged. That allows us to embrace challenges and broaden our horizons. In essence, learning is not just about acquiring knowledge, but also about developing critical thinking skills that empower us to navigate life's complexities. Okay, now what exactly is critical thinking? Well, you might be thinking, yeah, I learned some of that in school. If so, nice. But for so many people, even myself included, critical thinking wasn't really taught. But honestly, not all teachers are trained to think critically themselves. Now, let's try to get this straight. Now, critical thinking isn't always about agreeing. It's not always about disagreeing either. And it's definitely not about being the loudest person in the room. So, it's all about understanding deeply, thoughtfully, and with the purpose. Now, when you try to understand someone else's idea, even if you don't agree, you grow. And that's the beginning of the real learning. Now, Now, critical thinking is the ability to analyze information and assess its validity, which leads to informed decisions and sounded conclusions. Now, it also encourages open mindedness, allowing individuals to question assumptions and consider different perspectives before forming opinions. Now, by honing critical thinking skills, we become better problem solvers, enabling us to navigate complex challenges effectively. Oh, I'm sorry. Um, Well, before we go into the next slide, we will talk about. Let's start going to go to the 6 stages of Bloom's taxonomy. Now, a psychologist named Benjamin Bloom created a framework called the taxonomy of educational. Now, we're trying to learn the objective of. Now, let's go to the objectives. Now, the objective, it's basically a step-by-step guide to deep, effective learning, and it's perfect for developing critical thinking. Now, let's go through the 6 stages together. Now, First stage is knowledge. Now, before you look at these slides, before you look at these three parts, now try asking yourself, what is this about? And now, before forming an opinion, just gather the facts. And don't also jump in with I agree or like that's wrong. Now, slow down and ask, what's actually being said here? Okay, now let's go to the parts. Now, knowledge is the foundation of learning, involving the acquisition of facts and information through various sources, such as reading and observation. Now, to develop critical thinking, it is essential to gather relevant information and understand concepts, which enables deeper insights into complex topics. And now, the last part. Effective knowledge acquisition fosters curiosity and encourages lifelong learning, equipping individuals with the tools to evaluate and apply information effectively. Now, let's go into the second stage, which is understanding. Now, understanding is about comprehending and interpreting information, which allows individuals to connect ideas and see relationships between concepts. It also goes beyond mere memorization. Learners should be able to explain, summarize, and clarify ideas in their own words. Now, by fostering understanding, we equip individuals with the skills necessary to analyze and engage with information critically and effectively. Now, try asking yourself, why is this important? Now, you know what the idea means. Explore its meaning. Why would someone think this matters? Why it might be relevant to them, to you, or to the others? Now, let's go into the third stage, which is application. Now, applying knowledge effectively allows individuals to solve real world problems and make informed decisions in various situations. This involves using learned concepts to tackle challenges, ensuring practical understanding enhances our ability to adapt and innovate. Now, critical thinking skills also empowers us to integrate theory with practice, significantly improving our effectiveness in personal and professional environments. Now, ask yourself this question: how could this idea be useful to me? Now, could this principle help you in school, in relationships, in personal goals? If so, if you applied it today, what might happen? Now, let's go into the fourth stage, which is analysis. Now, analysis involves breaking down information into components, allowing, allowing us to understand relationships and underlying structures more effectively. Now, this process helps identify patterns and connections. Now, that fosters a deeper understanding of the complex ideas and obviously enhancing the critical thinking skills. Now, by trying to practice the analysis, we also become more adapt. We become more adaptable at evaluating arguments and forming informed opinions based on the evidence and reasoning. Now, try asking yourself for this stage. What is missing or not being said? Well, now you dig deeper. What assumptions are being made? What might someone be leaving out on purpose or by accident? Now, this is where you start seeing the full picture and not just the surface. Now, let's go into the fifth stage, which is evaluation. Now, evaluating information is crucial for discerning credible sources and understanding different perspectives in today's complex world. And now, critical thinking involves assessing arguments based on the evidence, questioning assumptions, and identifying biases that may skew interpretation. And also, utilizing the evaluation skills empowers individuals to make informed decisions, which also fosters a culture of informed engagement and thoughtful discourse. Now, you should ask yourself this question: how else could I see this? It's not about am I right or wrong, it's about what other ways could this idea be understood. Now, be open to challenging your own thoughts, and that's the real maturity. Last but not the least, creation. Now, creating new ideas requires so many elements in its innovative ways, fostering a deeper understanding and appreciation for the subject matter. Now, this approach empowers us individuals to contribute actively to discussions, that also encourages them to share insights and collaborate on solutions. Now, by transitioning from a passive consumer to an active contributor, we promote continuous growth and elevate our critical thinking skills. Now, you should ask yourself this question: how can I build something new from this? And that's where real learning transforms into action. Can you teach this idea to someone else in your own way? Can you combine it with something else that you know? If so, nice. You're a contributor, not just a consumer. Now, most people react to ideas. They say things that make sense, or they may say things like that's stupid, often without even thinking. But the goal of critical thinking is not just to react, it's also to reflect. And now, that reflection helps you challenge your own beliefs. It helps you stop seeing your current perspective as the only perspective. And guess what? That's how you grow wiser, more empathetic, and more effective. Now, here's the challenge for you today. Take what you have learned, pick one idea or one stage, and only one, and also explain it to someone else today. It could be your friend, it could be your sibling, it could be your classmate, or it can be also be your partner. Now, but the only thing is that don't just say it like the way that I did. Say it in your own way, use your words, build on it, and add your own examples. And because when you start doing that, you're not just thinking critically, you're also becoming a leader, a thinker, and a creator. And that's someone the world really needs. Well, thank you for listening and also thank you for watching. Have a nice day. Bye.